be the top.
Nice. Oh, well, I didn't even have to quit. Stalker Anomaly crashed on me.
Oh.
Okay. Twitch.
See this.
It says you're offline.
I'll just refresh and all online. Oh well. Thanks for coming, guys. I was originally gonna have more, but I figured too many is the crowd.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna.
So is this a new time schedule, or was this just like, you know what, I'm gonna podcast?
This is an on-the-spot thing because well, basically I saw a tweet by Spit, and he was talking about the fucking, oh, I forgot what it was about.
Touchy community?
2 volumes.
Yeah, the touchy community. And then I replied with a tweet, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just do a podcast about it. That way it's out there.
Yeah, I forgot to mute this stream, and I heard 3 voices talking all at once. I'm like, ah!
That would be
Too much noise.
hella weird. Oh, shit happens.
If I could ask you a stupid question before we get started. What does Haidomo mean?
Haidomo?
Or like, what's the origin? Yeah.
Basically it just means yes sir, yes everyone.
Oh, cool. Alright. I was thinking, is it a riddle or a meme or like, notice me senpai? But
No, it's called being a weeb. Anyway. Yeah. Discussion about the community mainly because I saw a tweet from Spit about the touchiness of the community. And I was basically just like, you know, I'll just do a podcast about it.
Alright.
It's a topic to cover eventually.
Yeah.
Especially with how touchy and edgy the community can be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, like over the years of me playing War Thunder, I've seen a majority of it, from the streamy content creator part to the staff part to just regular old War Thunder. And then the edgy part when you become a game master, we get all the edgy edge in it. It can get pretty toxic from time to time.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
Oh yes.
Just even whenever this is a new vehicle, just seeing some like comments in there.
Like half the time
thing that annoys me.
Oh, go ahead.
The thing that really annoys me though is the people that go, yeah, but what about this? Instead of showing some gratitude, they act like entitled brats, which is, you know, typical of any sort of free-to-play game. But, you know, still, I would really prefer to see actual gratitude rather than people going, no, Gaijin, this is not enough, we want more. And that happens a lot on Facebook and on like
You could
even
send me an
on
invite
Twitter.
when you get a chance.
And it really frustrates me because, like, for me, I come from a background where being grateful for what you have is really important.
Yeah.
And seeing this absolutely, it makes my blood boil, to be honest.
Yeah. And, you know, people come from different backgrounds and everything, but the one thing everybody should keep in mind is being grateful for what you get at the time, instead of just complaining about things that have been addressed before that are probably on the list to be in the works that just haven't been done yet.
Yeah, or that they're working on it, but they can't say yet, in case, like for example, let's say they're trying to add insert tank name here to the game, but they don't want to announce it right away because what if they run into a technical problem, like maybe they need this or they need that to finish it, and then when people are like, hey, you said you were going to add it, what happened? Then what do they say? So you got to be careful when you announce, hey, we're going to add this vehicle. But that's just one of many possibilities.
Well, you're exactly right there, I think the problem is that until the vehicle is 100% ready for the game,
Yeah,
which
more or less.
includes being ready enough to get through the dev server, not just make it to the dev server, but actually pass the dev server and pass all the quality control checks and all the other roadblocks that they have and they face. And then you get some entitled piece of work just saying, no, we want more. And honestly, I don't see why you just keep crying for more. because at the end of the day, whilst this is a free-to-play game, the point is it being a free-to-play game. So you know, you can essentially, you'd have to play a lot, but you could essentially get everything in the entire game without spending a cent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
So the fact that you actually have the ability to get, well, for me so far, I'm going on to 4,000 hours in War Thunder.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to, I could get 4,000 hours of fun without spending a cent. I've spent money, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But the point being is that you don't have to get to 4,000 hours and to get to the same level of play that I am.
I mean,
which is something.
It used to be like back in the day where people were like, "Oh, this game's pay to win. Premium makes you go by so fast." It's not necessarily the case. It's not even pay to advance for that matter. It's a free-to-play game. You just need to throw some time into the game. If you don't have time, that's fine. Throw money in. If you don't want to throw money in, that's fine. These are all your choices. The game shouldn't have to revolve around your choices.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's a sort of means, not an end, and people take it as an end.
Yeah.
Like,
but see, that's what I like about free-to-play games, though, is the companies design a great game, and they pretty much tell the consumer, "Hey, here's this game. If you want to pay for it, there's premium vehicles, there's premium time."
This seems to progress you faster in that game, should you want to play the game more or get to the top very quickly or something. Although, like, there have been some bad decisions by Gaijin we can say with certainty. You know, like,
Yeah.
honestly, I think the XM1's a joke where it is at the moment.
Oh.
I made a video where I made it at 3 in the morning. I was poorly worded, I poorly worded myself, and it copped a whole bunch of backlash because everyone was basically saying wait for the spam to die down and you'll see it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But whilst the spam has died down and it turns out that the matches aren't totally ruined by XM1s, they're still being heavily influenced by people who can quite literally start the game out without any prior experience, jump into Sim or jump into RB, and all of a sudden be facing facing people who've had several thousand hours of experience and actually ground out their tanks.
Yeah.
And for the people on the XM1's team, it's just miserable. It's absolutely miserable. And whilst the case that I showed in the video, which was on patch day, exaggerated that because that's not going to happen every day. That is that is the full potential, basically, of what is going on there. There are some cases where you will actually get people just spawning in and that being their first match.
Yeah.
And whilst I worded myself very poorly, I still think that's a massive joke. We shouldn't have that as a thing in the game.
I think one thing guys could do to, sorry,
That's
for cutting
right.
you off, but like maybe implement a lock. Like you can only buy certain tier tanks when you actually reach that tier.
Well, see, the idea I was always thinking of is that you can buy those tanks still, but you shouldn't be allowed to play them until you've unlocked that BR, which people will complain about, but it stops people from just horribly hopping straight in and ruining other people's time.
I actually like that idea, and it's been discussed a little bit. I've seen the European Canadian. He's often discussed stuff like that, and he's very, very good with stuff like that. He suggested that there just be a lock on the previous rank.
Yeah.
So if you're in rank 1, you can't buy rank 2. You can buy rank 2 premiums. Mm-hmm. The only issue that I find is with veteran players buying, having a new tech tree. So say Italian tanks, and not being able to buy, say, the M26 Ariete.
Yeah.
That's probably my only issue with what he's suggesting, but the entire concept is a good idea.
Yeah. I think it would be a good thing to make a suggestion about it on the forum after it's not already been made. Would be to just cover that on the forum.
But then
I
we
think
circle
something-
back to the whole community issue that there's going to be some people that say, "Oh, I really want to buy this tank, but I can't."
But you can buy the tank, you just can't play it yet. Until you've at least gotten to the rank of whatever that premium is at.
This might sound surprising, but I've actually participated in a similar discussion like this in the past, only it was in general discussion and not suggestions. But one middle ground, now this guy, what?
Oh, I was just saying improbable. You're a suggestion mode, so you'd know.
Exactly. So this guy, I forget his name, but one suggestion he made as like a middle ground is to where you could buy that vehicle, but you could only play it in arcade. Not realistic, not simulator, if you're below a certain rank. Like, kind of like you said earlier, if you have, like, let's say, rank 2 and you get a rank 4 vehicle, but you cannot play that rank 4 vehicle in RB or SB until you get rank 4 in that respective nation. And I thought, yeah, that might be a good middle ground because, like, why restrict someone from being able to play the vehicle at all when you could just simply, you know, confine them to only play in a mode where people could be played casual, like, it's arcade. I mean, to each their own, but generally the way I view arcade, I mean, I don't play it all that often, but when I do, it's like, I just want to be casual and just have fun, get into a match quicker compared to RB battles, which generally, depending on what tier you take, it takes longer to get into a battle.
Yeah.
But likewise, I've noticed that generally speaking, most players are more relaxed in arcade than in realistic or sim. So I would have to agree that if such a restriction were to be imposed, assuming that would actually be done, which we don't know, then I think restricting a player to arcade and not RB or SB would be a decent middle ground compromise.
I would also like to add that in arcade, it's not nation versus nation, but everyone's sort of put in the same pool.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
as a result, you'll tend to get XM1 noobs with XM1 noobs.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It's a bit better for the XM1 pilots, the tankers, drivers, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's also better
I've
for,
heard it both ways.
for everyone. Because when the noobs are concentrated onto one team, essentially it ruins it.
Exactly.
As harsh as it sounds, it ruins it. And,
Or if you're on the other team, it makes it better. Because I remember on patch day when I got my Leopard 2A4, I faced hordes of XM1s. And at first I was concerned because I didn't know their armor values. I'm like, are these guys going to be tough? And then I found out through the armor viewer, their hull armor is, figuratively speaking, just paper and nails. Or not paper and nails. Paper and something thin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even a T-54 with the stock AP round can pen it from the front by penning the hull. And I was like, interesting. So the XM1s were my daily nutrition, so to speak, for the earliest days of when I played the Leopard 2A4. And I loved it. But at the same time, yeah, I did feel bad for the American players. That is until, cough, cough, they got another M1 Abrams, which I'm not complaining, but I'm like, yeah. I mean, I have both M1 Abrams, the standard M1 and IP M1, but eventually I want to, like, do something different. Play my Leopard 2A4 or play my T80B. But at the same time, M1 Abrams, without going too deep into the subject matter, because that's a topic for another day, is just a, what's the expression, like, retard barrier or something like that?
It just curb stomps everything.
Curb stops, that's the word. Yeah.
It just
essentially.
absolutely ruins everything at top tier because
goodness.
it's just practically superior to everything at top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a tank is especially difficult to deal with when you have it and you know its weak points, but yet when you try another enemy tank, or another enemy, let me rephrase that. When you play another tank like a T80B or Leopard 2A4 and try to aim for those weak spots on an M1, either it does no damage, that is, it ricochets, or it just goes in one way and then out the other, because there's so much open space in the M1. It's like you could have like a Super Bowl party in there. It's crazy. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Back, more or less back on the topic of community.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
Because we,
Sorry
you know,
about that.
I know we went from XM1 and Abrams and everything. Like, when they... Let's go back a wee bit. When they first suggested the whole paid modifications thing, the community went apeshit about it, which is fair enough. It was, you know, it was a bit of a...
Refresh my memory on... Was that the one where people were calling it, like, pay to win? Or am I thinking of...
kind of was pay to win.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm on the right page then.
Yeah.
It was the, like, pre-battle training or something like that, they called it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And essentially, you could get an extra fire extinguisher, or...
Yeah.
I think it was an extra crew replenishment or something like that.
Yeah. You could get
It was
extra thing.
Quite frankly, a little bit too much.
Like, you know, the community chewed them out over that, and...
Yeah.
The good part of the community I was happy with, you know, they were saying, this is, you know, it's not alright, please change this, and I was like, yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah.
But then you have the large part of speakers that are like, the fuck is this shit, fucking faggots and whatever else, and it's like, no, cussing at a game developer does not help your case at all.
No.
I mean, there's times where I don't blame Gaijin for ignoring people when they just fucking cuss at them in a suggestion.
Yeah, well, exactly, and I made another video on the parts and FPE situation, the whole thing, and a lot of people were just saying, no, fuck you Gaijin, and all I could say was, why are you having a go at them like this? You should be trying to start a proper open discussion. You should be trying to sort of you know, get a conversation started rather than throw sticks at them, because that's not how you get a game developer on your side. And essentially, you basically coming to the table to negotiate. So what you need to do is not act like a complete retard, but you've got to actually be civil. And civility is really, really important, and a lot of people overlook it, which is extremely frustrating.
That's very frustrating.
And you think, because again, I think I brought this up in the last podcast that I did.
Yeah, you're on
but
the
essentially,
third one.
But essentially, even in modern day politics, you can see this, and it's starting to become a thing in culture in general. If you don't like it, get up in arms about it, and be mad about it on the internet. Instead of what you should be doing is you should be, you know. Like, my mother ran a preschool for 10 years, and she'd always say when a kid was angry, use your words, right? So, exactly that. Speak to them, be civil, be kind, because essentially you're coming to the table with nothing. If you think about this as a negotiation, you are actually coming to the table with nothing. Like, what can you offer, Gaijin? Perhaps playing their game for a little bit. That's fine, they've got another 10,000 people to replace you.
Yeah.
So, if you think about it, we are pretty much nothing to them. They can, if they wanted to, cast us out.
Every player is valuable, but sometimes that doesn't apply.
In this case, I would say wouldn't. It's not really as important, because there's so many players.
Yeah.
That if one says, "Fine, I'm not playing your game anymore because you're not giving me a free Abrams," then I will say, "Fine, fuck you." and like in that very situation, rightly so. But you know, there'll always be one sort of. There's always a level of entitlement that frustrates me.
Yeah, I think ever since the community got their way, or it's not the whole community, keep in mind, we're just talking about little bits and areas of the community.
This is just like a little slightly
this
high chromosome density.
I think you mean a lack of chromosome.
Oh, there's just like a small like corner of autistic kids in Reddit banging their drums, going, "Give free stuff."
I mean, it's not just
forums.
Reddit. There's also forums and just
Forums as well. Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah.
There's like I had somebody, me and Sauber. Okay, this is a story me and Sauber can relate to here. We had someone come to us yesterday, and I think he was actually constantly PMing Sauber. He PM'd me after a while too, but he stopped for a bit. We won't say his name for the sake of not.
Yeah,
making him
without
feel like a
naming names,
twat.
are you talking about the suggestion guy?
Yeah, the guy came to us with
Oh,
some
yeah,
suggestions, and he's like, "This is how we can fix this death camera thing." And then his entire post was
Yeah.
about spawns rather than being able to see the enemy in the death camera. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
this suggestions, and SAUBER and Coke Spray, who's the senior suggestion mob, both told me that this post is missing this. It kind of deviates from what it is. It's not a proper suggestion. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty much how I felt. And then, I went and told him that, and he's like, well, this is stupid. Suggestion mods shouldn't just hide this thing, blah, 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 blah. Then I was like, no, don't blame the suggestion mods. He's like, right, well, I'll just blame someone else. And I was like, no, don't blame them either. And he's like, who am I meant to blame? I spent all this hard work on this quote-unquote great suggestion. And the only thing I had to say was that it might be great to you, but it's not great to us. If you decide to spend your time on it, that's your problem, not theirs.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but there's so many suggestions that you guys probably deal with that somebody's probably already up or
Considered?
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That word was at the tip of my tongue, but it was escaping my mind.
Like, SAUBER knows more about it than I do. I'm just a game master.
Mm-hmm.
I just deal with all the shit that gets flung in chat, in game, wherever it may be. Especially in custom battles. Custom battles are fucking appalling.
Really?
Oh god, yeah. Went to a custom battle the other day, and dear fucking god, was it nasty.
What, like people flaming or something?
Oh, it was horrible, dude. Like, I was sitting there telling people, like, if you don't want to get killed and you want to explore, go to Immortality. And then it was just cuss this, cuss that, stop bombing me, blah blah blah. It's like, just go to Immortality. It's such a simple thing that you can't do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there a feature in custom battles for that? Because
Yeah, some custom battles have a little immortality spawn you can spawn at, and it just makes you completely invincible aside from drowning.
Yeah, the trade-off is you can't shoot back.
Yeah.
But what's the point of shooting back if you can be immortal? Otherwise, it's just God mode.
Yeah, which I can understand people being frustrated about, but it's not like people can shoot back in immortality. And then there's people that are like, there should be an immortality where you can still drop bombs. It's like, that's a horrible idea.
Yeah. No.
yeah, but that's stupid.
Yeah.
If you want to practice your bomb drops, you go into a custom battle.
Or just get good in an
Or-
actual battle.
Yeah. But I know several esports players. They would go into custom battles and just try and bomb people and AI,
Yeah.
and that's how they would work on their G6 rockets for Thunder League.
Yeah. There's a, I'm pretty sure I can say this. I was talking to Zerba? However you want to say
Zerba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him. He's
it.
nice.
It shouldn't kill me for that, but I was talking to him about an upcoming tournament. He did confirm to me, and I'm pretty sure everybody should know this by now, there's not going to be a Thunder League Season 2.
Shame.
But,
Like,
there might be something in the works coming.
that'd be great.
But,
What do you mean by that?
I mean, there's something as big as Thunder League possibly coming, but they don't know when or where or whatever. And
I did speak to.
Zerba's gonna get back
Yeah,
to me
go
with
ahead.
details if there's anything that can really be said.
If it can be said to me, I would really like to know stuff like that, because
I'll
like,
ask Zerba.
you know me. Zerba told me that he's trying to get the Thrustmaster tournament
Yeah.
to basically happen again,
It
which was a very poorly marketed tournament. Like, no one really knew about it.
No. There was also
And if more-
the Phoenix tournament, or was that Thrustmaster?
That's the Thrustmaster one,
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. So yeah, it'd be the Thrustmaster tournament. But yeah, it was poorly marketed. I think there could have been a lot more info. What the fuck? I reckon there could have been a lot more marketing around that and a lot more popularity for it. But I think the reason there wasn't much popularity for it is because there was no real, there was no reward for watching it in a sense.
Well,
Like-
Thunder League had the dog tags, so
Yeah, the kind of idea
Yeah.
I would have is while,
And you got-
while you're watching the Phoenix tournament, there could be like a Phoenix tournament case, and then, they might do a giveaway for a key to that case.
Key 2.
So by watching the stream, you can earn the cases, and then maybe, a rare drop would be a key.
even if it's so simple as the dog tag giveaways from Thunder League.
Yeah.
Like, you watch the stream, keep it open, and randomly you get picked for something to be added to your account. That's how I got the Thunder League Chaffee.
Yeah, that's how.
It was on the first day, and I messaged Jim Chamberlain afterwards, and I was like, "What did you?" I said to him, "What did you get?" And he said, "I got a lousy 3 days of premium."
I also got the Thunder League Chaffee from that.
I didn't get the chaff. Oh, go ahead.
I got the Thunder League Chaffee, and then for picking the winning team, I got the TV and the 109.7.
I backed Team Think because Copsy and
Yeah, I was thinking about.
Tartarus playing.
I didn't know those guys back in the day, so I didn't know what team to go for, because back then I was in Titan, when it wasn't fucking AIDS and split into like 3 different fucking squadrons, but...
Fucking Titan squadron was...
There were some good people in it, it's the only reason I went there.
I remember I went into the Titan Discord and, like, I can't remember, I think it was Emma Nova and I think her brother were having like an argument on the first day I joined the TeamSpeak, and I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, the Discord was pretty AIDS. That's back in the day when they were on TeamSpeak. I used to hang out with Emma and fucking Meowmers and whatnot. They were alright. And then it got a bit fucking weird between Emma and Ashley, and just went AIDS from there. I still talk to Emma on and off.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like the esports thing going on, that's about as much as I know about things. There's not going to be a Thunder League Season 2. Everyone needs to stop asking for Thunder League Season 2, and instead just wait.
Yeah. I think I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of starting that.
I'm guilty too, but at the end, you know, I went to Zerber, I talked to him, he said wait till later 2018, early 2019.
Oh, I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped to see something bigger.
He seemed excited for it, so hopefully there's...
Oh, Zerber's great. I remember talking to him in early 2016. I was still under the impression that Thunder League would be a thing.
Yeah.
And I basically said, look, I'm happy to promote, like, try and help promote things and, like, try and basically just get the word out there.
Yeah.
Find different ways to promote it and market it.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically told me about, like, without revealing too much, he said, he gave me some details about, like, how ships are going along and stuff like that. And he said they'd done tests in the office and he thought they were really fun. And yeah. He's in general though, he's very, very excited about the whole War Thunder project as a whole.
Yeah, he seemed really excited. I even offered to cast the Phoenix tournament, but he never got back to me about it.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't have that much experience in casting, but I am, you know, I dip into Soren stream every once in a while and just low-key pretend to cast it. Whenever he's doing a 1v1 duel or something.
Yeah.
Gives me something to do.
Getting that practice then.
Yeah, gotta practice to be War Thunder caster, why not? Can't...
Let's get ready to rumble!
Okay, not that kind of caster.
Okay, never mind.
Or did you mean casting couch casting?
Oh god. If I'm gonna go casting couch casting, I'll just go fishing.
One day I'm going to be casting for War Thunder, and I will say, welcome back, we're sitting on the casting couch.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm just gonna watch all the lols in chat. Just everyone going nuts.
Spit, if I logged into a stream and you said that, I would instantly turn the stream off.
Go watch
But what if there was an incentive to watch it? Like cool premiums, like, I don't know, Douglas Bader's Spitfire.
Or
Dude, I would actually buy that.
free Abrams modifications.
Oh, yes.
The M1A3 T14 Armada, soon trademark.
Yeah, I think if there's an incentive behind watching the casted streams, like, whether it be like a Phoenix box for some Phoenix skins, and then, you know, a rare drop would be a Phoenix key or something else.
Yeah.
Or even just the first one to type Phoenix gets a fucking Phoenix key or something. It would definitely involve people into watching the tournaments of War Thunder.
See, when was the first Thunder League?
Like 4 years ago.
You mean the only Thunder League? Back in 2015.
Quite a
I
while
was still
ago.
back when it was on PlayStation. Oblivious to the PCs.
It was definitely a long time ago. And I think War Thunder's in need of a highly marketed event.
Yeah. Well, I know World of Tanks managed to sell out a stadium with their grand final.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
Like, World of Tanks! Dude, I watched the grand final, like the last match on the last map, and it was like 2 minutes of pure confusion. I couldn't tell what was happening. They were like, it was literally a 15 versus 15.
Jesus.
Was it? No, it was a 7 versus 7. So 15 tanks total, and they were all just spamming Batchat 25Ts, just like running around, and they'd all formed this sort of front.
Yeah.
And that was the meta. They formed this front, and then they'd shoot at each other across that front. And one of the guys got stuck. His name was Applewell. He got stuck on like a little rock. And so what the World of Tanks devs did was they put a little sign that says "Caution, falling apples," because he lost the match because of that. He actually lost the match. Like, he lost the whole map and lost the match because he got stuck in his light tank and couldn't help his teammate.
Yeah.
And I think they just capped him out.
Yeah.
But like, the fact that they managed to fill a whole stadium with 2 minutes of confusion, that's astonishing. That's absolutely astonishing. I mean, the game is probably 10 times bigger than War Thunder. But
that doesn't mean it's better. Cough.
I'm dead serious. I don't like World of Tanks as much as War Thunder. Even World of Warships as much as War Thunder Navy, and War Thunder Navy is in CBT OBT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So-
there's a lot of love for War Thunder. It's also, or at least this is just my opinion, but the community's so split, they can't come together to agree on something unless it's something that everybody just generally hates.
That's just typical of history buffs, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go through one of my comment sections in a second, and there's like a 33 comment thread
Oh my god.
about, I think, Lorraine. Hang on, let me
Which
see if I can find
Lorraine?
this.
You be
The
talking
T-shirt,
shit about my
the
girl
40
Lorraine.
The 40T,
Oh, okay.
the bully, the big bully. Where is it? I took a screenshot of it, but the resolution's fucking garbage. So
That's alright.
yeah,
Also, another thing I find is that
Oops.
this isn't particularly a reason, but it's something that could improve the reception of tournaments, is that there's really no notable streamers or YouTubers that really cover the events.
No.
Like, yeah, we
What
have,
no-
you know, we've got people like Soren and Thunderpants and yourself, Falcon Cummings, but
Underpants or Thunderpants?
Underpants. I mean,
don't know why
Underpants used to, but I don't know if he
I thought
does
you
it
said,
anymore.
for a moment, I thought you said Thunderpants. I was like, that sounds like a cheesy but cool nickname. Like
Thunderpants is a
seductive
real thing, though.
Yeah, Thunderpants is
It
I
is
know.
a real.
I remember Underpants. He used to be part of the community
No,
helpers
no,
team.
not Underpants, Thunderpants.
Okay, so there is a Thunderpants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
He's,
the two
uh,
squires.
He's an Australian
he's
guy that's
Australian.
into tournaments
He's
and
from-
shit.
He's
Ah.
pretty fucking good, actually.
Oh yeah,
he's-
he's real good. He was streaming the Phoenix tournament with Soren and
Yeah, he was casting, and he actually went to the Phoenix tournament in Paris,
yeah.
which no one knows about because no one heard about it.
Yeah, it's like it's cool and all. They were big to cast it, but the thing is, no offense to them, and I'm probably gonna get away with flack about it later on, or a fucking joke or something. But it's whatever. There's not that many people that actively engage in their streams because, you know, they cater to X amount of people, rather than
Yeah.
it being, you know, publicly announced by War Thunder and being like, go to these channels if you want to win some sweet rewards or something. Because I know they were giving
Yeah.
away the camos for different vehicles for that tournament. Like, I've,
Turns out they gave them away anyway on Facebook because no one.
yeah, nobody came in and looked at it, so they're like, right, we might as well just give these away on Facebook.
Yeah, but who uses Facebook anymore?
I use it.
I'm kidding.
Oh.
It's a joke.
I use it for myself, that's about it. But yeah. The way they should have advertised it was, or at least in my opinion, the way they should have advertised it is, you know, we're giving away these skins, follow these people and watch the tournament, and, you know, at some point we'll let you know, type your name down and we'll get the skins.
Yeah,
Rather than just giving
I
it
mean,
away, but at the same time,
I
you know.
think. Yeah. I think there should be like a link, like a Nightbot link or something like that, where it just comes up every couple minutes. It says, "Hey, if you want the free skin, click this link." and it takes you to basically the same thing that you had at the Facebook giveaway skin. And it's like just the question is type your name in the chat, like your in-game name, and it'll be added to your account. Or like log in and answer this question.
Like
it doesn't matter what answer.
Like I know SAUBER did it in the sense that you had to go into the forum and PM him to get it the first time around. That was for the Spitfire skin. Because I remember doing that.
Yeah, I think I did that as well.
Yeah, and then after that it was just...
It would be nice to see them do more kind of like free item events.
Yeah, and I think the way to do that is via the tournament streams. It just needs to be more publicly announced and marketed.
Yeah. I mean, even though this is kind of related to, you know, free stuff, but even though I didn't really get a lot of stuff from it, but like the World Cup thing where you could unlock those soccer ball decals, I thought those were cool. I got a handful of soccer balls.
My only complaint with the soccer balls,
this is cool.
My only complaint with the soccer balls is the fact that I can't get rid of my fucking Costa Rica one. I can't sell it. I can't redeem it because I can redeem it. It's never gonna sell because nobody wants it.
Yeah, none of them are ever gonna sell. So like, if you've got $1 and you want some decals, soccer ball decals. So many of them. I consumed the Australian one, and I think I sold like the French and Croatian ones because they were worth like $2.
I got the Australian one because there wasn't a New Zealand one.
Yeah. Well, like the marketplace stuff, like that's how I got like my pack Puma when I was like, I wanted to get the IS-7, but I had some family matters to deal with, and plus, I'm not real good with those sort of events where it's like, without making it a bit too complicated, but where it's like, understandably, the tasks are supposed to be difficult, and I don't disagree with that, but what kind of gets to me is when it involves tasks that are not necessarily within your control. Like, one of the most notable complaints was like you constantly had to be in a squad to get certain tasks done. And not everybody plays in a squad 24/7. I mean, I play with squads from time to time, but there are some times when I just want to play by myself, for example.
And the normies aren't good enough. The randos, they're just not good enough.
Yeah, the random squad mates.
Yeah.
Like, and
exactly.
no one, sometimes your random squad mate doesn't even know that the event is a thing.
Yeah.
I know.
And they'll just sort of play on their own and they'll have their chat off, or like...
Oh, good grief.
Unless, if you're a real Chad like me, you'll be chat banned.
Oh. But yeah, like, and that was the thing, like, it's kind of difficult when it's possible that someone, even your own teammate, could mess up the event for you simply because they're playing the game the wrong way, so to speak. But anyhow, that's when I got the pack Puma. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna treat myself. If I can't get the IS-7, no problem, I'll just get myself a premium. And then someone told me about the marketplace. I mean, like, I knew about it, but I didn't pay much attention to it. And they said they have the pack Puma for $25, and I was like, what? $25? That's it? I would have expected it to be like 80 or something, but it was fairly cheap. So I was like, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get some decals, some decorations. I got some of the top hat decorations that I didn't unlock from the April Fools, like the Uncle Sam top hat and whatnot, as well as the what's it called? Advancing Storm?
Advancing Storm. Yeah,
Advancing
I got all
Storm
those
decal and Project X decals. I was like, yeah, this is cool. And that was all better.
Yeah.
It is really cool. Because, like, for me as well, I decided to sink $30 into it. And I went and bought some crates just to do a bit of, you know, one-off gambling. I don't normally gamble, but for this I decided to, because I thought, you know what, if I get some cool skins, then I'll use them. Because this is something that I'll actually use, whereas if I just put it into a poker machine, I'm not getting the same thing. And it turns out, what did I end up getting? I got the 3-tone NATO Abrams camo.
Oh,
the one worth like $50. So I sold that. I wasn't going to use it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I ended up just buying a bunch of cool skins with it.
Nice.
I bought the T62 skin, which is really nice. It's like a greeny, sort of like a deep olive green, and it's just really, really nice.
Boy, I really shot myself in the foot being the PlayStation pleb.
Yeah, you really did, honestly. It's such a... It is a surprising disadvantage, because you don't get access to the marketplace.
Yeah.
Don't you? Do the
Not
Xbox
only-
noobs get it either?
No, they don't
I-
either, but neither do people in the Netherlands or Belgium or other places that have
Yeah.
it locked off to them because of laws.
Because my gambling.
Hey, my gambling laws. I mean, alternatively, and I'm sure somebody could correct me on this, but there's a way around it, and all you really have to do is list the chance for things to drop. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But, like, for example, and yes, I'm gonna use a fucking weeaboo game here, bear with me though. In China, or there's a Chinese-made game called Azure Lane, for example.
I thought it
And-
was Japanese.
No, it's
Azure
Chinese.
Lane. Really?
It's made by a
they
Chinese
made
company.
an anime game.
I mean, China's done anime before.
Oh,
It's not the first time.
well, mind blown, man. That's
But,
crazy.
like, yeah. The, like, the reason it's allowed in places like China is because they have the chances listed for their crates, you know? There's like a 2% chance to get a super rare, or a 13% chance to get a rare. All Gajin would really need to do is take the camo, I guess, rarities, and then just add a value to them, and be like, you know, this is the chance you could get this. And then it's much less gambling, and it's more or less just opening a loot box and seeing what you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does make sense because then that way you can, like, roughly estimate how many packs you would need to buy the like the rare skin.
Yeah, and even
So,
then,
like,
like, that's not even a definitive number. You could get it before then.
Yeah, or after.
Yeah, depending on your luck.
Yeah, knowing my luck, it would be after. Because my luck's already been used up on that first one, so.
Yeah. But you know, there's little ways around it, but these kinds of things, the community doesn't bother to suggest. They're more, you know, oh, this is stupid that we can't guess. We'd rather complain than make a suggestion on why this could or couldn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't know, and it, you know, and a community will drive players away. Like, if there's a super toxic community, a lot of people will be like, I don't really want to be a part of this game if the community's going to be like this.
Yeah.
I can relate because I tried to get into the fucking World of Warcraft community, and goddamn was it horrible.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a time where I was like, yeah, I went and bought my WoW subscription, had the DLC. I went into it, and god, people were toxic. It was not pleasant.
Well, I remember one time, because my granddad, he plays World of Warships, and I play with him from time to time.
Yeah.
At any rate, he was having some problems with the voice chat. This is before we discovered Discord. And we both messaged support about it, and they said, send a message to a player in the chat. They'd be glad to help you. I was like, okay. And I asked a couple of guys, and they were like, what do you want, faggot? And I'm like, I just want some help to see if the voice chat will work. He's like, well, find someone else. And I'm like, gosh, okay, but that's rude. It's like, yeah.
Be thankful the
And I
Warhammer guys
even
on that.
mentioned it just because, like, why not? I just mentioned in the support ticket, it's like, I asked some folks, as you said, and they were very rude. They're like, we're so sorry. You can... They said, feel free to report them via the in-game function. I'm like, kind of too late for that, because I don't remember their nicknames, and I didn't take any screenshots like they asked. But eventually, we never could figure it out, really, so we got Discord, and problem solved, really. But I'll never forget that. I'm like, I just asked this one guy, I'm like, hey, can you help me test to see if the voice chat works? He's like, what do you want? And I'm like, I just want some help. Well, find someone else.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
like,
That's
I know both under Game Masters aren't like that, you know, we try to help when we can.
Yeah.
Especially me, like, I might not reply immediately, but I'll reply eventually. And,
But this wasn't a
you know,
World of Warships Game Master. It was just some random guy I saw in the chat room. Was like, hey, could you help me out? And he got pissed off. Now I think it's funny whenever I think about that story.
But see, for some players, all it takes is one incident like that, and they're done with the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it depends on what they say as well, because I know several people. Like I played Rust with a few Aussies, and like they'd be swearing pretty casually, like, you know, just like your typical Aussie. But then I think I got hit by someone, or like I got attacked by a bear, and I called it a cunt, and he's like, "Oh, come on, mate, that's a step too far." Like I could throw out the N word, but I couldn't call him a cunt. And
That's
yeah, it's that kind of, it's kind of weird. It is
yeah.
actually kind of like, it's almost down to the individual, and at the same time, you start to wonder: is it really worth catering to?
Yeah.
Trying to cater to everyone like that, or do you just blanket say no? Just try and like, let's not be like League of Legends, please.
Yeah. I think
It's funny. Oh, go ahead.
there was a time where the community was pretty well. Everybody got along. There wasn't really much causing or
Yeah.
anything. There was a few complaints, but it's kind of just memes, like Russian bias, for example. Nowadays, it's different groups of people going ahead and just cussing out Gaijin for no particular reason. I mean, that's been there since the beginning, but it's been getting worse and worse, and it's really noticeable if you do any sort of staff work for Gaijin, or just War Thunder in general.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll use the suggestions as an example, because, I've had some failed suggestions, but I've also had a lot of approved ones.
Yeah.
Following a suggestion is not hard if you read the guidelines. That's what I do.
It really is.
Every single time I make a suggestion, I read the guidelines. I see what's supposed to be in there, what's not, and then I just make my suggestion based around that guideline. A lot of people just make a suggestion, and then because it doesn't get approved, they bitch and complain that the suggestion hasn't been approved. Then they'll say they followed the guidelines, which they actually haven't done. And then in the end, the only person that gets blamed is the suggestion mods, and they're not the ones to be blamed. It's your time being spent on this, and if it doesn't get approved, you should have went and looked at the guidelines. It even tells you when you go into the subforum, look at the guidelines.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things where the community's just like, it's not our fault that we didn't see the guidelines, it's their fault for not telling us what's wrong with the suggestion, or whatever. Yeah. They shouldn't have to tell you what's wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because we have a copy of the guidelines for each section, or let me rephrase that, copies of the guidelines posted in each subsection of the suggestions forum. You can find the guidelines in aircraft suggestions, tank suggestions, miscellaneous, etc.
Yeah,
but I think the most common suggestions that we have to, reject and not approve are just, and I have to take a deep breath when I say this because we get this a lot. Wiki copy pastes. Now, I'm not talking about like simple paste, like basic historical background, vehicle specs. That's actually welcome.
You're talking
but what's
about
not welcome is when you go to, like, let's say militaryhistory.com. Just gonna name a random vehicle that comes to the top of my mind. The T-72.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the T-72 Ural, and then you just like copy the whole entire wiki page from military history. And then just paste that into the War Thunder form. It's like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, not only does
really
that
think
show...
we're gonna approve that?
Not only does it show that it's a copy-paste, it also just shows your general disinterest in wanting it in the game.
Exactly. And it even says that in the guidelines. Not only can this be seen as taking very little interest in your suggestion, but also, above all, and this is not good, considered plain plagiarism.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, of course.
I'll be fair, I copy-paste stuff onto my suggestions, but the thing is, I'm only copy-pasting little bits of information. Everything else, I'll go do research myself. I'll even take...
and that's...
it's...
That's okay.
Yeah,
but
as
if
long
you
as
just use an entire copy-paste of a site or multiple websites and use that as your suggestion, and you don't put any of your own input, like, let's say, I discovered this vehicle doing studies, or I like this vehicle because reason X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
If you don't add even so much as a little bit of information in your own words, what good is it?
Yeah. It just, and it sucks for the suggestion mod, because you're like, oh, this could be a really cool suggestion, but there's just such little effort put into it, and, there's no interest in it, then, you have to reject it.
Yeah, and the best advice I could give to anyone that wants to make a vehicle suggestion is, it does not have to be like an essay, as I've seen some people say, like, but it was fine, or it wasn't too basic, why can't it be approved? But it's like, it doesn't have to be an essay, it just has to be presentable.
Yeah.
Like, pretend like you're presenting, I don't know, like,
a speech.
A project to your class, speech to the class. And if it's just all copy-paste, your teacher's not going to give you an A. She's going to give you an F. That sort of thing. But, yeah.
Well, I got the guidelines pulled up right now, and this is from...
It's really not hard.
No, it says... when making the suggestion, it's best to explain your idea and show it to everyone, stating that you would like this or that without justification. Or explanation doesn't really help anyone. Think of it like pitching an idea. You want to win people over, not make a statement. When suggesting vehicles, facts and figures are vital. Performance data as well as some historical background info are invaluable.
Yeah. And, you know, it's really good guideline, because it's such simple stuff you can follow. You know, it doesn't require you to go to a gazillion websites and find the same information 100 times. It just requires you to go find the most common information about it, and then, you know, let the community fill in the blanks if you've got something wrong. Like, for example, if you... We'll use the automatic as an example, because we've been talking about that a lot, like, on the Fly server lately. The automatic has a 70-round magazine, for example, right? And let's say you had a 100-round magazine on your forum suggestion. People in the comments of that suggestion won't go, oh, I had a 70 rounds, you knob. They'll actually go and be like, oh, you know, this is 70 rounds, you can either change it, or we'll just leave this here. And then you just comment to that saying, yeah, that's fine. You know, if it's 70 rounds, 70 rounds, I can correct that, and... It's just, you know, there's such simple things that can be done, but the community just jumps the gun and is quick to blame.
Yeah.
But, you know, it really ruins the atmosphere of the game when the community's extremely toxic, I like.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I find it very frustrating whenever I'm in a game and we're getting our asses kicked, that somebody in the team will just start blaming the entire other team.
Yeah, that's...
Like 9 times out of 10, you look at the leaderboard and they're almost at the bottom.
You know what I like to do there? I comment back at them, "You're bad."
I know, right?
And I just leave it at that. Unless they respond, and then I say, "Haha, nice KD, mate," or something like that, and then they'll go, "Oh, you think stats mean everything?" Blah blah blah. And like, you know me, I don't really care for stats, but I know that good stats make a good player.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
a good player has good stats. Sorry.
A good player
Now,
also has
yeah,
good
and,
manners,
like-
generally.
Mhm.
Or,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
in the case of Soren, a good player has good, you know, he's good around
Everything.
people he knows.
I mean, like-
look around him at times.
There's no doubt that I'm like I get frustrated because I play War Thunder for like large blocks of time rather than lots of small blocks.
Yeah.
Which means that I can get salty very, very quickly, and remain that way unless, you know, I get like a really, really good match or like 2 good matches in a row or something like that, and then I'm like pretty much fine again. But the point being is that the toxicity really does build up, and it is a little bit of a struggle, to be honest, to sometimes contain that frustration. And for me personally, if I see someone like ranting in chat, unless I'm in like a really stupid mood and like want to fire back at them, I'll tend to just leave them alone, because, you know, that's probably what I would want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I can understand where that frustration comes from, and, you know, that's just the kind of person that I am. That unless I'm feeling memey and feeling stupid, and then I'll fire back at them. But that's really about it for me. Like,
Yeah, and when
go ahead.
I forgot who said this earlier, but when they're like talking about how sometimes when people will complain about the team and they're at the bottom of the leaderboard, like, I can understand fully, like, if you did good, you did your best, and then you look at your team and he's like, what happened to you guys? And like, you're not calling them names or calling them stupid, but just simply saying, hey, what happened? What happened to my team? That's understandable. But if you're downplaying them, like, you know, treating them like children's, like disobedient children, so to speak,
Yeah.
or you didn't do good yourself, then it's like, you know, contribute before you complain, as I've heard other people say. But I think someone said earlier about when someone is like just saying really stupid things that like could get them in trouble, and you're like, you know, I should probably stay away. I think the funniest thing I've seen in chat where someone was like, I got pee in my balls, why am I so hard? And someone in the chat goes, there's a mod in our team, and it's probably because you have an uncontrollable desire to be banished to Gulag. And I was like, oh my god, that was hilarious. And then he's like, "Oh no, mod, please don't ban me." And I'm like, I was like, I didn't type it, but I was thinking, yeah, you should be glad I'm a suggestion forum moderator and not a game master, because I'm pretty sure he'd get beamed.
I ban people all the time. Not
Yeah.
for, you know, stupid shit, for stuff that's actually relatively serious.
Yeah, and that's in accordance with the rules.
Yeah.
But I thought that was so hilarious. He's like, "You have an uncontrollable desire to get banished to Gulag."
There are some pretty like funny people in this community. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
aside from being ridiculously memey, there are some actual like humorous people, like people that know how and when to crack a joke,
Yeah.
which is really nice.
Oh no, this T64. Oh, and now he died.
Oh no.
Oh no, collusion.
And,
Don't.
yeah, like,
Oh, we made it.
memes are fine, as long as the memes don't go too far in the chat.
Yeah.
We're not gonna pull a Rainbow Six Siege and ban you for saying cunt or something.
My cousin got banned from Rainbow Six Siege for 2 hours for typing NI66A.
Oh wow.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
And that was like the third time it said something of that like caliber.
like,
Yeah.
It's quite funny.
the best advice I can give as a game master to anybody is, instead of hitting enter when you type something, hit backspace.
Yeah.
If you're gonna type something stupid, just hit backspace rather than enter, and then just say it out loud, or fucking go outside and chop some wood or some shit. Don't risk it in Japan, 'cause it's no fun.
Oh.
Because you lose, essentially, your only way of communicating with the randoms in your team.
Yeah, I noticed that, and since I've been chat banned, I've had subscribers and stuff say hi in chat, and I haven't been able to respond to them. And of course, this is a demon of my own doing. So
Yeah.
you know,
Like,
you make your bed, you sleep in it.
you don't realize how nice having the chat is until you lose it permanently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
I'm sure Collusion will sigh when I imitate this guy's voice. Hey, Sauber, can you remove my chat ban?
Oh, crying out loud. Why do you even do that?
You know who I'm talking about, huh?
Oh, yep, and I don't even want to think about it.
MangoBerry4961.
Oh my god, that guy's.
Is he still around? Like, is he still a thing? Or is he gone into the shadows?
So I was modding the War Thunder stream the other day, and they were, you know,
Oh,
they were
God.
playing stuff. If you wouldn't believe who I saw in the chat.
Oh god, Mango.
I had to act all nice though, because he hadn't done anything wrong there, but
I'm told that I think it was him or someone else that was suspected to be someone who doxed Miles, or called the SWAT team or something like that.
I mean,
On
Oh,
many miles
oh
away.
god. Like swatted.
you're probably
SWAT,
better.
yeah, like that. I don't know if it was him for sure.
I don't even
but-
remember Miles being spotted either.
His dad's house was visited by like some pretty high up police officers, because they said that he had a bomb in his mission or something like, you know, the typical thing.
I mean, it wouldn't
Is Miles
surprise me
in the
considering
Europe or the US?
He's in
He's in the
US.
United States and California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in the same place as Swede.
I forget where a lot of people live except Fly, North Carolina.
Right.
I actually didn't know Fly lived in North
Yeah,
Carolina.
he's in
Well, he
North
said it
Carolina.
before.
Well, a lot of people know just because that's where he used to get his fan mail sent to.
Oh yeah.
Because he gave out a post box number, and that was in California, so.
Yeah.
The other person that knows exactly where, as far as I know, is Tedesco.
Yeah, because he lives an hour away.
Yeah. But you know, like... The War Thunder community could use some improvements, and guys in marketing bits and pieces could also use improvements. There's always room for improvement,
Yeah.
as you know. Like,
Natural.
but, you know, you shouldn't need to cuss out the game creators
Yeah.
or the community for either of this. Either thing.
Or the staff.
Yeah, the stuff especially. Like, we're just
volunteers.
we're just players that volunteer to do things for our free time.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily any more special than anybody else in the game. The only difference is we have to be a lot more respectful because we're held to a higher regard.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it's things that need worked on and whatnot.
Yeah.
Maybe over time, maybe once Italian tanks come out, there'll be some really nice patches and the community will start to be a bit nicer, but I doubt it, but you know, it's a nice thing to think about.
Yeah.
If and when it happens. But yeah. Anything else you guys want to add?
Well, in regards to the Italian tanks, it's funny because a couple of months ago, and I can say this now because we all know what the big surprise is, but someone was telling me, he's like, hey, I don't know all the details, and even if I did, I can't say, but 2018 is going to go out with a bang. And I'm like, really? Can you give any hints? He's like, well, I just told you. I was like, that got me thinking, like, some crazy stuff like submarines, enduring confrontation for tanks, helicopters, etc. What could it be? Spaghetti tanks, pizza time. And I was like, ooh yeah. OF-41 Ariete.
I'm looking forward to grinding spaghetti tank. I don't think the C1 Ariete will be in there.
Maybe not till later.
Yeah, it needs something like, I don't know, an M1A1 or an M1A1.
I think
Really?
M1A1.
Because I thought it was based on the Challenger or something. The Challenger 1, I mean.
Yeah, but it's all the stuff in it would make it equivalent to an M1A1 or even the M1E1 for that matter. But right now we don't need any more American tanks. America's the last thing that needs things in the game.
Yeah.
The O2A5.
There you go.
Actually,
Technically, the Leopard 2A5 is already in the game. It's just not accessible. Remember April Fool's 2017?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
That was so good. But yeah, like... I think just a personal thing would be the community needs to just calm down a bit.
yeah, I think just take it easy.
There's no need to cast out the game devs if they make a mistake. Just be polite about it. Be like, you know, this could have been better. Or, you know, the best thing you could do is offer to make a suggestion for some improvements rather than just, you know, cussing them out. And then go into the forum and following the suggestion guideline and making that improvement. You know.
exactly.
You make the devs feel better.
Or even just a simple like, hey, I like this idea, but I think you could improve it.
Yeah, there you go.
There's no
And
need
like
to...
in regards to suggestions, definitely, I would encourage anyone, like, make a really good suggestion, because a lot of people do read it, and we pass a decent amount of suggestions every month to the development team. Now, of course, I can't guarantee that they'll, you know, act on it, because, you know, nothing happens overnight, but yeah, we do pass an excellent amount of suggestions, and developers do read them all, at least, that's for sure.
Oh, the ones that get passed to consideration, though.
Exactly, yeah.
And, you know, if it's popular, it'll get passed, no doubt. Because I've had something that was passed way back. I had the Australian server passed to development. Or passed to consideration, I should say. As it used to be passed to development, but I think they changed it because...
Pass for consideration, because I think it was like
it was misleading.
You know, English as a second language issue.
Yeah, it was really misleading, but ever since then it's been fixed and it makes a lot more sense now. But yeah, like, you know, people do read them, because I made about 5 or 6 naval suggestions for shit that could they add for... They could have added a new cruiser for Britain, they could have added a whole bunch of stuff for Japan.
Yeah.
And they're now up there with anywhere between 300 and 400 views, and they've only been there a couple of weeks. Really, really popular stuff. We'll get over 1,000 in a week, easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, all about taking your time and doing it that way, really.
But going on suggestion, and this is stemming from what I'm experiencing in game right now. I wish there was a way that you can pick, like, prioritize what element of your tank gets repaired first.
Yeah.
I
think that's been suggested before. It just hasn't received, you know, 'cause a lot of people don't go to the forum because everyone's like, oh, the forum's age, you should go to Reddit. And it's like, no, don't go to Reddit. Go to the forum.
The forums is where the magic happens, but it's also where the largest concentration of chromosomes happen, because it's where everyone is the most passionate.
Yeah.
And you tend to find that the more passionate people get, the more sort of dug in they get. It's the same with, like, politics. Like, I've spent plenty of time observing, like, any politics, like, you name it. And it's really, really apparent that the more passionate people are, the more dug in they get.
Yeah.
And in a place where you can make make things happen. Like, you can actually bring about some change that you want to see. Of course, you're going to get the special people.
Yeah, that's true.
But you'll also get the people with the most input, the most valuable input too.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And, you know, there can be good people on Reddit, but at the same time, Reddit's not the place to get your suggestion read. When people say, "Oh, the developers read stuff on Reddit," yeah, they read stuff on Reddit, but that's not where they're going to do their consideration.
Yeah.
It's going to be the forum.
Yeah.
Just send all your suggestions to Collusions or Saubers.
Do not send them to my PMs. I'm not.
That's actually not the proper way to do
That's
it.
a good way to get blocked.
Exactly. 'Cause we're not developers.
I mean,
I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've seen, or people have seen me in game or on the forum, and they ask me like, "Are submarines coming? Is this being added? Is that being added? Or can you change this? Can you change that?" And I'm like,
do you know how many people ask me the same questions?
you're
Really?
not even on staff for that, man.
Yeah,
You're not even
like,
a mod.
when are the Italian tanks coming? Like,
Oh,
dude,
I
I
don't
don't even
Oh
know.
no!
Maybe it's because you're a content creator. They're like, "Oh, the content creators must know they're in league with Gaijin."
Yeah, they get an email half an hour before the dev server goes up.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally it. And like, a couple of hours before the patch goes live. That is all we get. Unless it's something... actually, you know what? I don't think I've ever gotten anything like that major that hasn't been announced or hasn't happened an hour later.
Yeah.
Like, dev servers, patches, World War mode testing. Like, we don't get told shit.
Yeah.
And rightly so. Do you know how many people there are that are actually qualified as content creators for Gaijin?
Like,
There's over
Like
100.
sponsorship?
yeah, I'd imagine
No,
there's over
like-
100.
There's over 100. Most of these people have like, well, some of these people have like 20 subscribers too.
And
I don't know how they got it.
Some of them are less active nowadays. Like, oh, a really good reference I can use of a content creator not liking the way the community is at the moment is Miles. He went and took a break because of the community's toxicity for a while.
For real?
Yeah, he went on... I can't remember how long it was, but I definitely remember him taking a break because he's not enjoying the game because of just how hostile the community is towards Gaijin. And that was after Gamescom, because he went to Gamescom and, you know, he was talking with some Gaijin devs and, you know, they were really nice to him and they were answering all his
They're
questions and
lovely
everything.
people.
And he just didn't like the way it was, and he was like, "I'm just gonna take a break. I'm really not feeling War Thunder, not with the way things are at the moment." And
Miles and I, like, there are a couple of things that Miles and I disagree on, like, just genuinely, which is natural.
yeah,
Like, I still respect and like the guy. He's a really, really nice guy.
yeah,
But, like, that is one thing that's one of the more common grounds that I have with Miles, is that both of us demand respect from the community to the developers. And whilst there are people going around saying, Gaijin doesn't listen, they're just out to take your shekels, you know. Dude, like, you're not gonna get any better by just sitting and screaming at them. And Miles and I are 100% right on that.
you know, the whole reason
You know,
I went and did this podcast thing was to introduce the community to the content creators of War Thunder and to members of the War Thunder staff. Later down the line, I'll think about getting more important members of staff, and hell, even maybe devs that are interested in coming on for a look. But the thing is, I need to do this enough to get it popular and make it something the community wants to see before Gaijin wants to put their 2 cents in and actually get behind it more. And you know,
Have you spoken to Martesh?
I haven't.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Thul?
Thul.
Yeah.
Is it just Thul? Or
I did talk to him, and I just call him Thul. Or Matej, or what are you going to call him? But yeah.
I just call him Martesh.
I spoke to him,
Steven as well.
and you know, he was the one that gave me like the requirement. You know, make it popular, make it something people want to see, and you know, we'll put our 2 cents into it. And you know, that's my goal at the moment: is to do it enough, make it popular, make it something the community wants to see, and then you know, because I'd like this to kind of be how the Thunder streamers, you know, with Sean and Keith and all that, but on a slightly more serious level.
Yeah.
Like, even if I'm not the host of the Thunder stream anymore. I don't mind that. Like, you know, as long as someone's presenting it and doing it right, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Unless they want to get me in and make me the host for it, in which case, please do. I'd love to do it. I have no problem with it. But you know, it's all about getting it out there and making it something the community would like to see. Whether it's getting 2 suggestion mods in and talking about doing suggestions right, or you know, what could be in a suggestion, or getting game masters in, or even getting yourself spit, like I did when we had the podcast with you, Ash, and Koala. It's just getting groups of people in and, you know, discussion. Whether it be serious or not serious. And recently, I did have Smin 1080p in, who's one of the community managers.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's entirely possible anybody can come on at any time. It just, you know, it's all about... Because I always revolve the podcast around availability. If someone's not available, I'll try to edit the time. If it doesn't work for someone else, and, you know, it's not plausible, then I'll just be like, no, it's fine, you can come in at a later date. I'll just rush and find an extra or something. It's totally fine. But yeah, you know, like... The more help I can get with getting this out there and getting it popular, the easier it's going to be on me to start organising these things in a lot more detail.
Yeah. Has Fly gotten behind the podcast? Like, I know he's done an episode.
Yeah, he was in the first one.
But
he's not 100% behind it, but I am going to speak to him at some point and see if I can kind of get him to... Not necessarily shill me out and be like, oh yeah, you know, you should go check this guy out podcast, but, you know, just hint that...
Why the fuck not?
There is...
Seriously, why not?
There is community podcasts out there that... Or... Because I know Kath and Slickbear and all that are doing a podcast right now. I think it's called Angle Better or something.
Angle Better, yeah.
Angle Better.
Theirs is a little bit more serious. Theirs was like what Orange tried to get off the ground.
Yeah.
But because it just turned into a fuck you gaijin sort of thing.
Yeah, it's... I'm not watching it at the moment, you know. I'm kind of hands off watching it. It's probably a bit more structured more than mine, but at the same time, I want to kind of delve into that whole getting to know the community, bringing it together, and just sorting things out, and, you know, getting some answers done and dusted. And then it's off everybody's chest, there's no reason to complain about it anymore. I don't know, I'm working on it, I'll put it that way. But, you know, any kind of shout out, or if you want to call it, is appreciated for it.
Yeah, sure.
And, you know, it just gets it out there faster, and then, as I said, makes it a lot easier to manage.
Yeah.
But speaking of Thundercast, and the fact that I'm going to end this podcast here, because I have to go put dinner in the oven and other bits of things.
That sounds good, and I gotta get ready for bed soon.
Yeah, there's a Thundercast this Friday, or Saturday for us plebs that are in the future. It's, I'm not entirely sure who's going to be in it yet. I might see if I can get Stona in it.
If you can get Stona, try. Please, on behalf of Keith and myself, try to get Tomek with Stona.
Try to get Tomek and Stona? I don't know about that, but, you know, I will try. Fingers crossed. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, refresh my memory. Tomek, is he French or Polish?
He's Polish.
Okay, I don't know
I think
why
both Tomek and Stona are both Polish. Tomek and Stona are both Polish. I don't know about the others, but I'll see about getting them on, and then I don't know who the content creator of the day will be, but I'll figure that out when the time gets closer.
Yeah.
Might be Fly. I might see if Fly wants to talk to them. But, you know,
that would be hilarious.
You know, I'll figure it all out, and then one day I'll see if I can get in touch with the likes of Bo and whatnot, but I doubt that's going to happen. But, you know, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm. And the future, if you want to, like, you know, discuss the topic of suggestions again, like, I'd be glad to come on along with Coke Spray, since he and I are the most senior of suggestion mods. He was...
Is that
became
Is that a plug? Is
mod.
that a plug to be like, hey, make me senior suggestion?
Nah. I'd be terrified if I had to take Coke's place, because he does all the dirty work.
You wouldn't take Coke's place. I think you just work alongside Coke in that point. But yeah.
Because he became...
I'll see about getting Stona and Tomek on, but if they can't come on, then I'll do like a suggestion mod one, where we talk about suggestions and whatnot. What's wrong with them, what's right with them, bits and pieces.
Yeah, because like Coke Spray became a suggestion mod, forget exactly when, but early in 2015, and then I later followed suit in December of that year also, so we're the most senior of suggestion mods on the team.
That's actually kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's-
I'm pretty sure Smin to me, he's really young for what I thought community managers were for. 'Cause I think Smin's like 20 something. I always,
Really?
and like in my head, I always thought, you know, being a community manager, I think you'd be at least 30 plus. But
Yeah.
I guess on the
Well-
War Thunder team, we're actually quite a few youngins, aside from Keith, who's I guess we could call him a legend rather than.
There you go,
You know,
legend.
It's more of a
That would
legend.
be perfect.
Seasoned veteran.
Yeah, seasoned veteran of the War Thunder.
Yeah.
But yeah. It'll be something I come back and touch on.
Yeah.
But I'll leave it there for now. I might come back and touch on the special War Thunder podcast, talking about the community thing, but for now we'll leave it at that.
Yep. You gotta put that casserole in the oven, and I gotta get some shut-eye.
Oh yeah. And then I'm gonna play War Thunder, I guess, and do my reports, because I'm slacking.
You're slacking.
Oh.
Okay, did you survive that?
No.
Okay.
Oh god.
So, how many hours would you say you guys put into just going through suggestions?
That's something for Sauber to tell you.
Oh, suggestions. I was like, all I heard was how many hours do you put into, and I was like, huh? I was like, oh, suggestions. Well, could you elaborate a bit more on that? Do you mean like processing them, or like when we make them ourselves?
Like, when you go through and you actually, like, process them, like, okay, this one actually is a good idea, I'll send that to the next rung up or whatever.
Well,
Without telling you
for
too
ones
much.
that are no.
Because
What I can say is like we don't like one that's not approved for discussion, like, because we want the community to be able to discuss it, because a person or two could have their own opinions on it and might even be able to help give feedback to the suggestion to make it better. So if a suggestion has just been made, even if it's a really good one, we wouldn't pass it to the developers right away. There would have to be feedback given, which there's no set rule on how much feedback is to be written on that said suggestion topic. But if it's like, I guess you could say a keeper, and like the community really likes it, then yeah, we can pass it for consideration. But once it's past the developers, it's really up to them to decide what they wish to do with it, because they could decide, yeah, we can get started on it right now, or they'd be like, let's save it for a later time. It just, I can't really speculate too much because, you know, I'm not a developer, but yeah, there's lots of stuff they can do with the suggestions they read.
Okay.
I just have my fingers crossed that the Australian server will come one day, sometime.
Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind an AU server. That'd be kind of nice. But at the same time, if there's no place for the Australian server, as there barely is for the Southeast Asian server, then I can understand 100% why. And I'm not going to cry about it either.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen plenty of people cry, we need Australian server because our internet's shit. Yeah.
I mean, it depends where you live in
But
Australia, really.
I see Collusion's trying to replicate my monster crocodile.
I was thinking about it, but you know, like, I'm not too fussed about it. You know, that suggestion did end up getting the South Asian server moved from Singapore to Tokyo, which is much, much better.
Yeah.
The South Asian server is now the best server for me, aside from the US server. I don't, you know, it might not have been me. They might have just changed it because, you know, they were thinking about changing it in the first place. But, you know, that change was still announced there in that suggestion, and that makes me happy enough. That was way back, though. That was like a couple of years ago that I made that suggestion.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll leave it at that. I have to go put this fucking shit in the oven.
Yeah, I'm getting sleepy. But yeah, until next time, folks.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by, guys. That was a short
No
notice.
worries, yeah.
That was short notice, but, you know, if you ever want to come back and talk about the community and other bits and pieces, you know where to find me.
Sounds good.
Glad I
Yeah,
could
thanks
make
for
it.
inviting me.
No problem.
yeah, peace
I think, okay, well, Sauber's gonna peace out on me.
Oh, man.
I was gonna say, these smaller kind of podcastings, I'm gonna open to the community. So I might get, you know, for example, if I want to talk suggestions, I'll get Sauber and then somebody in the community who wants to come talk about them. If you're gonna sit there and rant, you know, say fuck guys and fuck the suggestion mods, fuck the game master, blah blah blah,
Yeah, it's
I'm
like-
not gonna have you on.
yeah.
I'm just gonna remove you. It's that easy.
Well,
Yeah.
those people aren't really productive anyway.
Yeah.
Like they're not even worth. They're not even worth talking to. Like
Yeah.
it's one thing. It's one thing to allow everyone to have their opinion, but it's another thing to have someone on the podcast discussing things that are important, relevant to the game, and being civil about it. And if someone refuses to do that, then honestly, we've got better things. Like everyone, like you, Collusion, the people watching, have better things to do with their time than to sit and listen to someone say "fuck you, Gaijin," because it's just not productive.
Yeah.
They could.
I guess if you take.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, Spit.
I was gonna say if they want to rant about it, they can rant about it where, like in their discords or wherever. Like,
Yeah.
Just rant about it by speaking out your mind to yourself.
Yeah, just
There's
get
no
it
need
out.
For you to type
Just
it.
get it out.
I mean, it's like if you rant about something and you think somebody's gonna care about your opinion because you're ranting about it, guess again. Rants. People don't care about rants. People care about actual criticism.
yeah.
That's what I was just about to say too. Is if you take one thing away from this podcast, don't just make a rant about it. Like, make your position on it known. Give some constructive criticism and state why you think that a certain modification or a certain game mechanic should be changed.
Like,
Yeah.
even go around
And
to
we
other
actually-
discords and ask for opinion. That's another way you could do it. Then only take in the opinions that actually mean something and not are just rants.
And then we also, on the forum, we also have a constructive criticism corner where you could leave constructive criticism there too. But I don't know, it has its own guidelines, but I don't know too much about that section because we suggestion mods, we don't moderate that area. It's outside the suggestions area, but
yeah, that'll be the forum.
something to
area.
look into.
I'll link all
Yeah,
the
forum mods.
guideline thing, or I'll link the
Yeah.
suggestion guidelines for vehicles and whatnot, and then I'll also link the constructive criticism corner guidelines, or I can get one of the forum mods to link it to me if I can't find it.
I could get it for you right now. I know where they are.
Yeah, that works. But yeah, thanks for dropping by. I'll
Certainly.
close up the stream and I'll start organizing this week's Thundercast.
Sweet.
And then I should be
Sounds
able to
good.
I should be able to get out one or two more Thundercasts before the end of the year because I still have to upload the one where we had Smin, Gruber, and Tiger Frost.
If you want, I could. I'll do what I can to promote you, because
Don't promote me, promote the podcast itself. I don't want the promotion, I just want to get the podcast.
That's what I
out.
meant. Shh.
Vehicle guidelines.
Promote me, daddy.
oh my god, yeah, I'll see what I can do to promote the podcast
Yeah,
because
like, It's already been
it's a
brought
very
up.
productive podcast.
On the content creator Discord, I know it's already been brought up, because I know Koala brought it up back when we were doing the
Yeah,
third one, and, you know, that's where Thor gave criticism on it, and, you know, just, like, put it out there. If you feel like it's something that you'd really like to see happen on a bigger level, then just, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
you'll know what to do with it.
because it's, at the end of the day, like War Thunder needs bigger community, more community things, and it's funny, but the way I
Yeah.
found the War Thunder community is through the launcher, through through YouTube. Like I can't remember why I clicked on Squire's top 5 epic plays on the launcher. It said something about like submit your clips and win something. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
This might be cool, and then you watch it, and it's like, shit, I should probably download this.
And then I watched it, and then I like clicked on Squire's other videos, and I thought, oh, he's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He's kind of cool. And then it just spiraled from there, basically. So
Yeah, you know, about promoting the podcast, not me. I don't care about getting promoted. It's a podcast I want to see grow, where other people take it over and, you know, have more experience talking to people. Because mine's just on the spot thrown together rather than some really robot structured kind of podcast thing. As long as you're not ranting about something, it's, you know,
yeah,
that's the idea behind it. And, you know, I'll get better at it. Go.
for sure.
Anyway, I'm gonna go put this thing in the oven.
All right. Yeah, I've got to start like
Yeah, you
cleaning up my house because I'm
work
heading
for it.
back to Sydney for a few days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alright.
Time.
Thanks for dropping by, guys.
Certainly.
All right, no worries.
Thanks for hosting it.
Thanks for
See you
the
next
guys
time.
on stream that decided to drop in and listen. Because, you know,
Certainly.
this is much less about gameplay and much more about the talk. But
Exactly, yeah.
For once, the custom beta wasn't entirely toxic. I'm quite pleased with that, but I imagine if I come back in an hour or two, there's gonna be being toxic.
Oof.
But it's just how things are. Anyway.
Yeah.